Hi everyone, it's Crazy. Uh, so I was going to try to do a video a week. Unfortunately, uh, I did an entire video and realized that somehow I turned my mic off. Don't know why. It must have reset or something. But I had no sound. And so everything I talked about was null and void. So also, I wasn't able this week to be able to delve into my Python and Pygame to try to get my fundamentals up to speed. There's a lot of things that's happened this week. So instead, I'm going to talk a little bit about OpenOver's project simulation, uh, Blender, and a BGE. Now, if you look right up here, uh, my logo was made in Blender. The original logo was a static picture, which Wake Up was there. And I did it in old Blender. And then I decided I was going to animate the Wake Up, because I wanted it to be Wake Up, type deal. So I created that in a BGE. And also, right above me is my logo that I had made here recently. I also made that in a BGE. And the reason why I'm showcasing these is not just because I want to put my name out there, but it's mainly to show the versatility of how Blender and a BG work together. Now, most other game engines, Unity, Godot, Unreal, Armory, and a couple other ones, they have to export. You have to export it from Blender and import it into their game engine. And then if you want to make any kind of changes, you have to put it back over and export it back over to Blender and then export it again. A BGE does not. A BGE uses Blender's native. Um, it uses Blender together. It's like a perfect sandwich. It was made for that sandwich. That's the easiest way I can pronounce it. It's like steak and eggs. You know, um, you know, you don't have to export. You don't have to import. You can go from making a character to making a map to texturing the whole thing, adding physics, and poof, now you have a game. And you can run that game through a BGE. So there's no exporting. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to open up a separate program, or you don't have to do another separate thing. You run it all in one program. A BGE piggybacks on Blender. So when you open up a BGE, you'll notice that you're looking at Blender. I mean, let me do this real quick. I'm gonna bring up the newest version of a BGE because of the fact, well, not the newest. I'm like severely far behind, so please forgive me. I'm not trying to uh, say I've got the newest version. I don't. But this is a BGE 0.3 alpha. Okay, and if you look at it, wow, this looks like Blender. This is, I mean, Eevee, all the same stuff you had in the new Blender, Blender 2 plus, 2.8 plus. It's the same thing. Oh my god. But check this out. You've got an embedded player and a standalone player. What? That's what a BGE is right there. It's not the whole thing. I mean, the whole thing is utilizing Blender. A BGE is basically a part of Blender when you get the BGE. Blender said, hey, you can mesh your stuff with ours. We don't care, as long as you don't change the physical look of Blender. Well, a BGE, I mean, you see it, a BGE, but it's all Blender. So you have a way to make, this little guy here run around the screen if you wanted to. You can hit standalone player and he will move. Well, right now he'll probably just fall. It'll pop up here in a second, and yeah, so nothing's really going to happen. See, black screen, because it's still trying to load up. It takes it a minute. That's what everyone. But look, you got a game. That's the Blender game engine right there. Okay, so I mean, you can literally play a game, build a game, and play it right there. Okay, so being that said, um, Let me put this back up. Oh, no, 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 no. Okay. So, being that said, Blender and UPBGE are working together. It's a still kind of like a one thing, but each one has its own separate entity. Now, everybody says, well, UPBGE hasn't been updated. Yes, it has. They are constantly updating it. They actually update it almost weekly. So, go figure, right? I don't see Armory doing that. Unity, yeah, okay, but you know how Unity is. Unreal, yeah, no. And Godot is trying, and they're getting up there. But UpBGE has been literally on step, ongoing, trying to fix problems, fixing bugs, putting new stuff in to where you can keep up with the Blender genre. And a lot of people, I'm trying to knock stuff over. A lot of people aren't even giving a BG a chance. They don't even see it because they believe that it's not Blender, or that the BGE is dead. No, BGE is not dead. It's a BGE now. So, with that being said, I wanted to get that out there because you guys at BGE, you rock. Okay, I said that. All right, so without any further ado, I'm going to continue on. So since I've got the Blender and the FPG thing put out there for you, now it's time to talk a little bit more about Open Orbits Project Simulation and what it's about. And I'm going to give a little bit of a story here because Open Orbits Project Simulation started out as an idea, and that idea, let me scroll up here. I'm kind of reading from a little text that I had wrote on my old server. I had a server that I called Open Orbits Project Simulation, but I wasn't getting anywhere, and I got really depressed, and I deleted the server. But I had saved everything from it because I know me. I probably got mad, and I do it off to the side, rage quit, and I rage quitted on it, but I kept everything, so I didn't lose stuff, and it's all saved in files, so I won't lose them. So I saved a story, and I'm not gonna read it verbatim because I'm not really a good narrator, but I'm gonna try to say it as best as I can, so that way you get an idea how the story goes. Okay, and this is how the story goes. Earth is no more. The human race is no more. All life is no more. When they came, it was fast. There was no fight, no war, no survival. Earth was their field, and we were their crop. We were harvested. These beings cared not about how we lived, thought. Oh, I'm sorry. How they. Okay, strike that. Go back. See, this is what happens when I try to read and narrate at the same time. Okay, these beings cared not about how we felt, how we thought, or how we lived. They just came and harvested everything with life energy on our planet. Earth died that day. The town, well, that didn't matter because they covered the earth with their ships, or whatever they called those bright, shiny spheres. It started out as just a small speck of light in the sky. At what looked like a small pinprick in the clouds, within minutes, it was noticed by almost everyone. My name is Tim, and I was a hot dog vendor selling hot dogs to the masses that trudged to and from the courthouse. Now, Tim is a fictional character, so before they start going into canon stuff and trying to figure out who this Tim character was, he's just a name. I picked it out. I saw it and I said, hey, Tim, the hot dog salesman. Hey, that sounds kind of cool. Tim is going to be a hot dog salesman. So there we go. So, as Tim continues on, I was out by the steps when I noticed the slight shine of something up there in the sky. I took a hot dog wrapper and poked a small hole in the center and saw it. It was round, and it was getting bigger by the second. After a few minutes, it seemed to reflect the sun's light. Then, that's when people started to notice it. I'll never forget those shiny spheres. It was like looking at a giant mirror in the sky. As it got closer, it began to glow bright white. So white, in fact, that it shined brighter than the sun. As it covered our sun, it shimmered into two spheres of equal proportions, then four, then eight, and within a few more minutes, there were mirror spheres covering every inch of the sky. The sunlight was gone, and when the spheres started to glow, and then the spheres started to grow even brighter. In under a minute, the light was so bright, no one could see. It was so blindingly white, you couldn't see your hand in front of your eyes. All I heard were crashes, then screams, then explosions, then we were no more. Now, you may think that this was the end, but no, it was merely the beginning. But you knew that, didn't you? They collected us, not as humans, not as plants, not as life forms, but as life forces. Similar to how corn was to us, we were to them. After they harvested us, they preserved us. You see, life energy can fade if not kept moving. Now, moving is a different sense. So let's take it like life energy is like electrons. They move in time-space, or space-time. When space-time is stagnant, life energy fades out like a light. To preserve our life energy, they canned us, just like good old chicken noodle soup. Our can is what you see right now. Now, at that point, we'll put, there's a little world. You see a picture of a world. On my server, there was a picture of a world. Okay. So, oh yes, you were a can of Dinty Moore stew, buddy. Oh, hang on. Yeah. You were a can of good old Dinty Moore stew. So, I had to use Dinty Moore stew because I kind of like it, but it kind of gave people something else to grab on to understand what I was meaning by canned. Because some people don't know what canned means. By the way, sponsor? No, just kidding. So, let me continue on. Well, not actually. See, the supposed can is the reality you believe you are in right now. Yes, you sitting there playing what you thought was a game. Go ahead. No, this is no Matrix where you find out the world is overrun by machines or aliens or monsters. Earth is simply not Earth anymore. Re-terraformed for the next crop. See? And then I put a picture of the world up. It's a different kind of world, and it was one that somebody had made. I can't remember who I got it from, but it was just a world picture. I can't remember where it came out of. Fortunately, sorry if you recognize that world when you see it, then I apologize. Yeah, due credit to you if you're the one that made it. Okay, all right. Ready? So it's ready for the next beginning. Ready for life to begin again. The crop has been planted. Now, I'm not going to offer you a red pill or a blue pill, but merely a hot dog, because I'm a hot dog seller and you look hungry. This is where you're offered the play button and you begin to play the game. Now, I'm not going to go into the beginning of the game. This is just a story for people to understand, what it is. This is for you, the viewer, you, the people out there, the story that I'm going to give behind it. Now, the tutorial is going to be that story. It's going to be, you going through the tutorial, learning what to do in the game, but it also plays out this story that I just read to you. Okay, so I mean that's the whole idea of the game, or the whole story of the game, is that aliens came down. They said, "Hey, our crop's ready. Scooped us all up, do us in basically a virtual environment, and we have no mass. So, but we believe that we're still human." And at first, people were fading away fast. I mean, fading fast. And so the aliens decided, hey, let's can them. Let's give them something that they can survive on and that they can soak in and accept. And so they put you in your normal world. You're back on Earth, and nothing else happened. Everything was cool. Everything was great. No one, no one died. There was no white light. There was no spheres in the sky. You're still walking around like you normally do. You go to work in the morning. You come home at night. You listen to my, ramblings on YouTube, and here you go. Right? Well, in the tutorial, you start to realize, you know, that you're not real. There's something don't feel right, and you see this white light right when you first come in. When you hit that play button, you see bright white, and then you slowly fade in, and then a tutorial starts. And I'm not gonna give away the tutorial because that's part of playing the game, and that's the story you're gonna go with. Okay, but the story's gonna play out, and you'll meet Tim, and you'll learn how to make your character move, create your character because you're going to be creating your own character, and then you're going to hang on. Let me kick some of these off. There we go, and that one. There we go. Okay, so now if you see up here, you have some hand drawn stuff. Hey, I'm not perfect. I don't really have a good hand in drawing on the computer. I used to draw this character a long time ago, and I'd love to make him an animation, but I really suck at pinpoint accuracy. So here goes my attempt at trying to show you what the maps will look like. Okay, not verbatim. These are just representations of what each one is. Okay, so the first one you got is nature world. Okay, which is you got trees, bushes, land, water, lakes, rivers, nature. I mean, come on, self-explanatory. Nature world. Okay, so in the nature world, you can raise the water up to a certain point, but only can go up to a certain point. You cannot flood the land. Okay, you can't make it go like super high and cover all the land with water. Because if so, that would be water world. So you would actually, basically go from one to the other. So nature world has it where you only have so much water, and you have normal little rainstorms. You have some thunderstorms, stuff like that. You have some weather patterns and stuff like that you can play with. And then you can do a water world. And water world is underground, underwater. So if you ever played the game Subnautica, uh, about kind of like what's going to be, you're underwater, you have a very, very few land masses. You can raise the water up above those land masses, but you cannot take it any lower, say. And if not, that would be a nature world. See, here we go. The only reason why I'm doing it that way is because I don't want people to say, I don't want to do a water world and let it one day flood their nature world you know, or whatever. You know, there are some that don't have much water at all. The barren world is kind of like a desert or Mars. There's very, very little bit of water. There's not lakes. There's not rivers. There's not, big vegetation. You have scarce vegetation, scarce, animals that live in that vegetation. So on and so forth. That's the barren world. It's very few and far between. You can make a sci-fi world. Now, sci-fi world is more of an alien world, kind of like No Man's Sky, Every Man's Sky. Yeah, kudos to you. He'll know who I'm talking about. I actually love that game. If you ever get a chance to look at it, it's called Every Man's Sky. Uh, he made it, and it's a really, really good Blender game engine created game. So if it was pretty fun. It's not as you know uh, big as No Man's Sky, but it was pretty fun. I mean, you can land on a planet, you can walk around a planet, you can get back in your little spaceship, take off, and go to another planet. It was awesome. So if I can find that link, I'll put it in the description. All right. So basically, it's an alien planet that you can build. You can have, instead of water, you'll have some kind of other type of liquid. Then you got the apocalyptic world. Apocalyptic world is just like every other post-apocalyptic game. Fallout, Cyberpunk. There's tons of them out there. So it's kind of like that. You got zombies, radiated water. You can do kind of like you can do at Nature World or Water World or Barren World. It'd be more of kind of like a Barren World and Water World kind of mash up, but it was nuclear. You got hit with nuclear bombs. Okay, then you've got Future World. Future World is kind of like a Star Wars, Star Trek, or any kind of uh, futuristic type world, and all those will have futuristic things, AI robots, and flying ships, floating cities, stuff like that. Now, before I get into this one, let me further explain some of these other ones. Some of these other ones, they all have limitations. You can only have certain kind of animals in nature world. You can have certain kind of creatures in water world. You can have certain kind of weather patterns in barren land. You can have odd things in sci-fi world. You'd have radiated storms in a post-apocalyptic or apocalyptic world. You would have you wouldn't have bad weather patterns. Everything would be hunky dory all the time or whatever. In custom world has it to where you can use a little bit of nature, some apocalyptic, some future. Don't really want water. Kind of want a little bit of barren, and oh yeah, we'll make it an alien as well. You can add just about every one of these other ones up into a custom world. Okay, so with that being said, you're going to be able to create your own world. So you're going to create your own character. You're going to create your own world, okay? And then you're going to put your NPCs on it. Now, if anybody, some people have played GTA 5, and you got one of the, you try to do one of the, what do they call them? You created your own race or something, like that. You can edit and put races in, set up races or set up capture flags or death matches and so on and so forth. If you understand that point, you understand where I'm coming from. If not, if you have played GTA, you gotta look at the editor. Um, if you haven't played it and you have no idea what I'm talking about, um, basically, if you played Hitman Absolution, you can actually create your own scenario in the game, in the thing, and put it out there for other people to test it, and see if they can beat it. Um, GTA Z is a game I made. If you killed all the zombies, you can, you know, play the next one, which is technically me adding more zombies and more power ups and more guns, but it's the same concept. I added more in. You, as the player, you're not really the protagonist, but you are, and you have a say so. It'll be your story. Okay? So, with that being said, you set up your NPCs in the game. You then you then you go in and play. You play your game and you enjoy your game and you can sit there and have a good time in it. And then if you get bored, I played this for 2 weeks straight and did everything I could do in the game. No, you haven't, because you can destroy that planet, and I'll go further on later on. You can destroy that planet and start another one. Say you started off with a nature world, and you killed every animal that you placed in it, and you placed thousands of animals, and you fished every lake, and you did all the things you could do, and now you're bored, so you blow up that planet, and you say, you know what, my next planet is going to be a future world, and then you make a future world, and you make it, and you put the NPCs in it, and you set it all up, and now you've got a technically completely different game. Hmm. That's cool. I like that. That's the idea I'm trying to come up with. I wanted to make it to where you can not only just have just one world. You're stuck with this one world until you destroy it, unfortunately. But say, you made you wanted to be you got the cars and you made roads and you built, made cities, and you want to be a racer and you raced every road you made, running over people or whatever. And then you got so bored of it and you're like, well, what can I do now? Hmm. Well, now I want to do a aliens take over the world type thing, and I'm going to use Future World for it. You know, and so you destroy this planet, and you decide to make a future world, and then you fill it with AI and aliens, and you're fighting aliens and AI because the city. You make up your own story. See, tutorial is my story, and I take that story and then I hand it to you. And then you carry on that story however you want. Because at the end of the tutorial, my story ends. Your story begins. Huh? That's the whole idea of the game. And if I can get it to go forward, that would be awesome. So that's basically what I wanted to show. Since I couldn't do anything with my Pythoning this week, I wanted to do a big touch base. And as I said before, I don't edit. This is all one long schmeal. And I hope it wasn't too long. It doesn't tell me how long these run. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Okay. So record time was been 26, almost 27 minutes. So, yeah, that's kind of long. So, but hey, now you know what the Open Numbers Project Simulation is about, where I'm planning on going with it. And if you'd like to help me build this awesome game, then give me a shout in the comments or come on over to my Blender, not my Blender, come over to my Discord server and say hi, put your name in there, and you know, just make sure that you say hi. Come in, give me that 100. Follow my rules, and hey, we're good to go. You can also say hi to me on the BGE server in Discord, also on the Blender server. I'm not on there as much as I used to be because, like I said, I'm trying to learn Python, in Pygame. I'm also in the Pygame server and the Python server on Discord. So yeah, I do a lot of Discording. So until next time, like I said, I'll try to do one once a week, and we'll see you next time.